Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Dynasty Pros Devy Show. I am Tommy Harvey along with SC Romero and Andy Pham. Tonight we will be discussing the upcoming Week 10, that coming up next. All right, guys. Well, how's everything going for you guys tonight?
Good.
So far, so
Y'all,
good, man.
y'all
Andy,
enjoy?
how was that USC game?
It was good, man. Jaden Ott went off, and that was crazy. When I was watching the game, I got a new analysis on Marshawn Lloyd. He's really good north south, but laterally he is not good at all. So if he's someone that needs to make a cut, he won't be able to do that. Um, Caleb had no time. Cal is just seemed like Cal was in the backfield the entire game. We knew the the USC's defense was horrible, so we knew it was going to be pretty much who had the ball last. It was a really fun game. I liked it. It was a good crowd. They had at least, I want to say, at least a good 40,000 people there, and they were pretty crazy. It was a fun atmosphere.
That's a
Nice.
good crowd.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I'm from the South, where if
Oh
you don't have
yeah.
100,000 people in your stadium, you don't have a good crowd.
I think the stadium holds like 50 something, so it was a pretty good crowd.
I got you. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
going to the.
Happy Ott went out there and sold out for you too.
He
That's
did. He
dope. That's
did.
to see some good stuff from that running back.
And I'm wondering how much he'll play. Like they like watching it live, I believe it was like in the late third quarter when Cal was driving in the goal line. Ott was carried off the field by the refs, and then they took his helmet, and then he was in that blue medical for a good half an hour. Cal isn't reporting it, no one's reporting it, but it looked like he has a concussion, and so Cal is saying he's supposed to play. I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of those gamesmanships where like he's going to play, then last minute he's like a healthy scratch and he doesn't play at all because it was pretty bad. Like he was pretty wobbly, and then when he went to the sidelines, he went to the blue tent. He was in there for a good half hour. They took his helmet and he was gone. He wasn't even on the sidelines. So I would be surprised if he plays on Saturday.
Well, I mean, you can look at it one of two ways, I guess. They would obviously need him in order to be able to compete against Oregon, but at the same time, this would be a good game for him to miss, so he didn't just get destroyed by Oregon's defense.
Yeah.
All right, we do have several games going on this weekend. A few big ones here. Let's start off with Kansas State and Texas. To me, this is really the DJ Giddens versus Jonathan Brooks game here. Um, Both these guys rising up Debbie boards, really to the point now where Jonathan Brooks is kind of a sleeper to be that RB1 in this 2024 draft class. I know PFF has him rated as the RB1 for the 2024 draft.
Yeah, no, I mean Brooks has been amazing thus far. I think it just goes to show what Texas can do with their running backs. I mean, because we saw what Bijan and Sean did, and now we're seeing Brooks, go in there and sprinkle in, and it just for me it builds up excitement for Baxter. Because I wasn't that aware about Brooks, so to see this guy just come out of nowhere for me shows a lot. That's like, okay, this is actually something that I should be looking forward to moving forward with Texas. I know Malik Murphy, he came out and balled out. He had a pretty good game last game, but Kansas State brings the pressure. They have three guys out the edge that can bring the pressure to him. So it'll be interesting to see how he's escaping that, or if the pocket is even collapsing around him and what he's doing to extend the play. Because I think he's gonna have to do that a lot more this game.
Yeah, Murphy is a huge guy too. Um, he looks so much bigger than everybody else out there, and he has really nice touch on some of his passes. Also, I do think he needs to get a better chemistry connection, whatever, with Xavier Worthy. Missed him on quite a few passes, but um, if they could work that out, I think I think Murphy could be a very very solid quarterback for them.
Yeah, with Jonathan Brooks, I'm a huge fan of his, been for a while, and I think it's more of a indictment on Travion, Braylon Allen, Rocket probably coming back for another year. I think it's more of negatives on them than Jonathan Brooks, exceeding expectations. I mean, he's exceeded them from where we had him in the beginning of the year. But if he's going to be the RB1 and gets picked, mid to late second, I will be trading all my shares and trying to upgrade if that's the case. But I mean, I do love him as a runner. I just believe it's more of Braylon Allen not being what we had hoped, Raheem being injured, Travion, being the kind of back that I always thought that he was, which is not the one that we look for. But for the game coming up with Kansas State, I'm actually looking forward to Avery Johnson. How much he plays. He brings that different kind of game with that quarterback position. So I want to see how he gets involved. If it's like a 50-50 kind of split that they bring him in. So that's what I'll be looking for in the game.
Yeah, definitely be an interesting game. Kansas State kind of has kind of those hit or miss weekends. You know they kind of had both of those types of games in one game when they played against Missouri. They looked really good at times against Missouri, and then they ended up getting beat on a last second field goal. I Kansas State's very very perplexing. I know that they still have a shot at the Big 12 title game. They have to win this one in order to keep those hopes alive, though. Speaking of Missouri, let's go ahead and jump into them against Georgia coming up this weekend. Brady Cook and Luther Burden are going to have massive games in order for them to keep this game close. Georgia, they haven't looked dominant, but I don't think they've needed to. Um, they just look steady. They just look like they're just going to go out there, do their thing, pull away late and just move on to the next week. You know, with Brock Bowers missing this, possibly missing the rest of the regular season. It's really going to be Carson Beck looking to find Lad McConkey and Dominic Lovett and Oscar Delp, um, which is kind of what we speculated last week also. And then those guys came out and had a big weekend this past weekend. But I would really look for a heavy dose of Luther Burden in this one.
Yeah, when I did my QB rankings, my top 20, I didn't even have Brady Cook in there, and someone asked, like, why, where's Cook at? And my response was, Cook is good because Burden. Burden's a great wide receiver, and I think that's why he's looking good when he's passing to him, because Burden's making the plays and he's, getting touchdowns and everything, doing stuff after the catch at that as well. I agree with you 100% on Georgia. Carson Beck, I didn't expect him to come out here and move the ball like Bennett did. And he's just a very I won't say time consuming. He's a general. He knows how to move it down effectively and how to challenge. They don't need to be a dominant force. It's kind of like they're saving it though because they have some beast on that defensive side as well. So Malachi Starks is one of the best defensive backs in this class. So they have people that are potentially just like sleeping giants right now, and come this playoff team, and they're gonna be scary, especially if they're like, man, we don't need Bowers, we'll roll through it. And if he comes back, I mean, a full healthy Bowers that has some rest, that could be deadly. But even then, they have, like you mentioned, Oscar Delp. The running game, you want to see a little bit more out of it, and you could in possibly this game. But I mean, they're awesome. I think they, have a chance at running it back.
With Carson Beck, he could possibly play his way into being the QB1 of the 25 class with how down we currently are with them right now. Someone that I am looking for is Pierce Spurlin being that tight end 2 option. He's someone that I looked at and liked his tape. He's probably like one of the 2 tight ends that I looked at for their tape in high school. And so he's someone that's in the pipeline that, 2-3 years from now he'll be the guy. But I wonder if he gets some kind of play this week.
Yeah, I mean he played a little bit this past weekend. Played a little bit in past weeks also. But yeah, I'm kind of like you. I'd like to see his production ramp up just a little bit with Brock Bowers being out. That'd be kind of nice to see what it to see it at least what he's able to do out there. All right, next game. This looks like it's going to be the battle of possibly the last 2 Heisman winners here, with Caleb Williams winning last year, and then Michael Penix Jr. Likely being the front runner in this year's race. To me, this just looks like Washington is going to do whatever they want to against USC's defense. And the way USC has looked over the past few weeks, I don't know if this game's going to be really close. I think Washington may run away with this one by halftime.
And I don't think that's going to be a knock on the USC offense, but it's going to be a knock on their defense. I mean, Michael Penix is going to come here. He has arguably the best wide receiver core in the nation. If you bring in McMillan, Polk, and Odunze, I mean, he's just making it rain with these guys. And I don't think USC is ready. USC has some nice weapons too, but that Washington defense is way better, in my opinion, than that UFC defense, especially their secondary. They know how to close the gap. They know how to pass block, anything like that. So, I mean, I think that's going to be the tell of the tape there. The quarterbacks may look great, but Washington's going to end up making more stops when they need to than USC will.
So a few weeks ago, we were talking about the Washington receivers and who we preferred next year, and I said I prefer Jeremy Bernard. Tommy, you said you prefer, Jalen Polk. The reason why I like Bernard is because Polk won't be there next year. The way he's playing, he is going to declare. He's a redshirt sophomore. He is playing out of his mind right now, and McMillan has taken a back seat. He got hurt again. I just think Jalen Polk is playing his way to possibly being a 2nd-round pick.
Yeah, he's a definite stud, man. He's been climbing up my Debbie rankings all season long. Ever since he's kind of turned it on. He was that 3rd receiving option and was really, really productive in that role. And then once McMillan went down, he stepped in and it was just seamless. He was in that Jalen McMillan role, and he's been everything Jalen McMillan was.
Well, it might be nice because, I mean, even if he stays though, and you have Bernard, I mean, Austin Mack will be able to feast with him as well next year. So that's exciting to see, and it'll be fun to watch what Mack will become. Once Penix leaves.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping it is Mac, but Andy's kind of been beating the drum on them possibly looking for a transfer portal quarterback coming in too, though. So.
Hey, Klubnik, that'll be wild.
Oh, jeez. No, please don't. Please don't stay away from that offense, Kate Klubnik. Don't ruin it. All right. Next game, we got LSU against Alabama. Jaden Daniels has been a really, really pleasant surprise this season. I still don't think he's a great quarterback, but he has been getting the job done. to the point where a lot of people are pushing for him to be kind of in that second round uh, discussion for the NFL draft this coming season.
Yeah, I mean he's this game will be a good game to tell. Because Bama has a pretty nice defense. So does LSU. They both have big guys up front. LSU has Mason Smith there in the middle, and it'll be. I think it's going to rely on the quarterbacks. I don't think the running backs are going to get much done there, even though you have a star running back at Alabama. But guys to watch too are Jermaine Burton. The Bama doesn't have the weapons that Jaden Daniels has. When you think about Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors, and both those guys alone could win the match. I don't see that playmaker in Alabama, and I think that's what's going to be the difference. Is they have no one that's necessarily going to carry the team beyond Milrow. And I think this defense will come after them. They're going to bring the pressure, and that's going to be what makes the difference. Is Brady Daniels will have a little bit more time back there to make some plays, get it to Neighbors or Thomas there, and we'll see them just win by 14 maybe.
Wow, you're calling for LSU to kind of blow them out in Tuscaloosa, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
I think that Jaden Daniels hype has gotten way too crazy. I think he's a great, CFF asset, but at the next level, I just don't see the throws. I don't see him processing defenses. I just don't see that there. And if he takes those crazy hits in the NFL, he's not going to last. I just don't see it in him. As far as this game goes, I like LSU to win. I don't think they'll win by 2 touchdowns, but I do like them to win. I think Alabama's going to try to slow it down, try to run the ball, milk the clock, but I think LSU has just too much firepower.
I do agree with the fact that LSU has too much firepower. But at the same time, LSU's defense has way underperformed this year. So you're able to you're able to at least see where Milrow can take the top off with like Jermaine Burton or even
Isaiah
Isaiah
Bond.
Bond. Yeah. So there's at least a path for Alabama to win this game, I think. All right, let's go and dive into some running backs to watch here for this week. Our the number one guy we're wanting to talk about here, and is potentially the RB1 for the 2025 class. Ollie Gordon, Oklahoma State running back, going against Oklahoma this weekend. He leads. Doesn't he lead the nation in rushing right now? I'm pretty sure he does. He's number one, and Marcus Carroll is number two. Um,
Sounds right.
which is pretty crazy because he really didn't even take over that backfield until like week 4, and he's just been killing it ever since.
Yeah, he does lead. I to double check that, but yeah, he does lead the league in rushing with 1,087 yards. Definitely a phenomenal runner. I like what I see in Gordon. I've been high on him because I was getting him late everywhere in drafts. Because Oklahoma State does pretty good with their running backs, and it's exciting to see when they give him the ball. This is. A big game, for Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, just a statement game for them and Ollie Gordon to be that RB1, but this is also something will it feast into next year? Because what we were saying about him is I feel like what we were saying about Quinshawn Junkins, he's dominating at a different level, but like Quinshawn didn't come back and repeat. So we'll have to see what he does again. But I mean, he's looking great. He's looking like he can lead that team. They just gotta get him the rock. He is the key to success. There's no questioning it or anything. Give him the rock, let him make the play, and your team can be great.
I'm still a little lower on him. I think he's a great CFF asset. I just feel when I watch his tape, I don't see I really don't see anything more than a north south runner that has decent enough hands. I don't know how his game will translate to the next level. I don't see him being an adequate pass blocker. I mean, this game will tell a lot, with Oklahoma. it's definitely something that I need to see more of. But what I've seen so far, you definitely can't knock that production.
I mean, Nick Singleton is still the best pure runner, even though he's having a bad year. I think he's still the best pure runner, in that class right now. But it's looking pretty explosive from what Ollie Gordon's doing. So
See, here's where I come off with Singleton is that you could even make the argument he's not the best running back on his team. Katron Allen is a legitimate NFL running back also. So I mean, you're able to make the argument that you know two of the top four running backs in that class are Penn State running backs.
I'm gonna
yeah,
say for that 25 class, it's gonna be Rocket Sanders. I say he's gonna be the RB1 next year.
You think he comes back for another season?
I think he has to. He literally hasn't done anything this year. He gained 20 pounds. He got hurt because of that. He's working his way, through that injury. I know we're going to talk about him later on, but since, I brought him up, might as well talk about him now.
Yeah.
This year has been a disaster. And in lieu of that, it pretty much plummeted KJ Jefferson's stock, and it got their offensive coordinator fired. If he goes this year, unless Jerry Jones has told him, "Hey, buddy, I'm gonna take you on round 2," I think he's got to come back. I think he has to.
Well, you're able to look at it's kind of a catch-22. Him not playing is like you said, it killed that offense and it made KJ Jefferson's stock plummet. That shows how good Rocket Sanders is, though. And running backs don't stick around for that extra year. Um, their clock is ticking from the moment that they step on the field as a freshman. Their clock is ticking. So they tend to leave after that third year on campus just because that's just the shelf life of a running back.
If he comes back, this week and finishes the season strong, then yeah, he's gone. But if he comes back and he does another, 8 carries for 25 yards and has one catch for 5 yards, I don't know.
Yeah, see, I don't think he's going to be healthy for the rest of the season. I think he may just be coming back just because he wants to get back on the field. But I think going in, I'm 99% certain he's going to be coming out in this draft. So what he's wanting to do is he's wanting to get on the field at least a little bit to show that he still, that he does have it. And then he wants to go into that pre-draft, season, kind of on a high note.
but see, I mean, I think with him too, he knows what the running back market is in the NFL, right? How hard it is. So right now he does have that stock, and with these guys, if he stays another year, it's another year of wear and tear. That's how you have some guys looking at it in the NFL level. It's like we need guys that could come in here because if you're not on a committee, or even if you're the RB1 of your team, we're gonna feed you, and it's gonna be hard on your body. So the fact that he can go in there and say, "Hey, I had a full season of recovery, I'm good," it will just mean he will have to blow it out the water for the combine and pro day. Those will be two key factors too. If he sits out to at least raise that to say, "Look, I am that day 2 capital draft pick for you. I'm not a day 3, 4th round pick. You need to get me in the 2nd or 3rd there." So because of what the market, if you will, is for running backs, I think he has to come out. I love the idea of him staying because I want to see that great production again. But I mean, I think he doesn't really have that choice. He's going to see, well, this is my option. I'm going to have to take it right now.
Yeah, it's just not the name of the game for running backs to stick around for 4 years. Especially when they have big time NFL potential the way Rocket Sanders has. Those guys always leave after that 3rd year. It's just a business decision. Next guy, another guy who's kind of been working his way up that running back list, Audric Estime, Notre Dame running back. He's got a pretty tough test this weekend against Clemson. Clemson 4-4. They have not had the type of season that they've wanted. Obviously, I don't think that's necessarily on their defense. That's really an offensive issue for them. So I think this is going to be a pretty stiff test for Audric Estime.
Yeah, I agree. They have, arguably one of the less best linebacker duos in the nation there with Barrett Carter and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. So they know how to stop the run, and I think this will just be a good test and a possible elevator even further for Audric Estime if he can, get through both of those guys because they're monsters in the middle and they know how to get to the ball. They know how to track the ball well. They have a great IQ for the game. So it'll be a test of those two guys versus Estime, I think. And whoever wins that battle, I think, decides the fate for their team.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really good matchup and see what he does. And I kind of want to see what Jeremiah Love does, with his limited touches that he gets. And then with the other side, with Shipley and, see how he does and everything. I think that this could be a game where you could see, day three running backs get taken in the spring.
Yeah, I agree there. Next couple running backs that I'm wanting to throw out there. Freshman running backs, Mark Fletcher for Miami and Caden Fegan for Illinois. Fletcher coming back off an injury last week looked okay. Got the game winning touchdown in overtime. And then Caden Fegan coming off a bye week, but the week before when they played Wisconsin, he looked like a Braylon Allen clone. And I personally am very high on Braylon Allen, so that is a big time compliment coming from me.
Mark Fletcher, I mean, you want to see more of him. I don't know if we'll see it much in this game. North Carolina State has a great run defense in itself, too. So he's the future of that team, in my opinion. I don't think anything of Trevante Citizen as much anymore. So I think Mark Fletcher, we're not going to see what we want to see from him. Caden Feeding's looking great, but then Minnesota has a great running back as well. Darius Taylor there, who he had an injury as well, so we'll see how well he does. But he's a freshman running back there that could continue to raise his stock because when he was healthy playing before injury, he was looking great.
Yeah, is there any update on him? Is he coming back to play this week? Because I know he's been out the last couple.
I thought so. I thought he's a questionable right now to come back. So.
All right. Moving on. I was actually wanting to ask you about him earlier, Andy, to kind of get your opinion on if your thoughts on him have changed since you've seen him live. Jaden Ott, he's got a big time game against Oregon this weekend if he actually plays. Have your thoughts on him changed since you've seen him live?
It has. Now, he has quick bursts, and I mean, USC's defense is horrible, but he was outrunning them. The holes were open for some of the runs, but when I was watching it live, there were some moves that he had to make laterally to get to that second level, and once he got to that second level, he was gone. And so I am a little interested in him. He has a receiving profile in his history. He always plays well against bad defenses, and I in the past I comped him to a lower Bucky Irving. I probably have them on the same level, if not Jaden Ott a little bit higher than Bucky Irving. Seeing him live, seeing him make those moves to get to that second level with that wiggle, it was something that was nice to see.
Yeah, the one thing I've kind of questioned about him is his vision. He tends to kind of run into tackles a little bit more than trying to avoid them, and he looks as if he has like you said, some of that wiggle, some of that shiftiness to him. That if he would utilize it a little bit more, he'd be able to get away from those tacklers instead of just barreling into them at times.
I wonder if it's more of him getting hype playing up against, oh, it's USC. I have eyes on me. I need to show out. Because yeah, when I watched his tape previously, I wasn't that impressed. But then when I watch it live, like he seemed like a different runner. I just wonder if yeah, I mean, yeah, he beats up on lower competition, but I wonder if he's starting to get to that point where it's like, hey, this is a big game. I need to showcase myself.
Well, I mean, going not to lower competition, I mean, do you think that was a knock on USC's defense as well, just not being able to really contain him as much?
I
Southern
mean,
Cal's defense
USC's
is atrocious.
defense.
So
Uh,
I mean
so
it's pretty awful. Um, Next couple of guys that I'm wanting to throw out there, a couple of G5 guys, Blake Watson going up against South Florida and Ashton Jeanty going to go up against Fresno State. Um, I've comped Blake Watson to like a Jerick McKinnon type of running back. I think he has a future in the NFL, and Ashton Jeanty has been Boise State's offense um, pretty much the entire season up until he kind of caught a little bit of an injury this past weekend, and George Halani got a little bit more run. GT is the guy there for Boise State. I think he has a Debbie profile to him, um, and I don't think that him playing for a G5 school needs to scare people away from looking at him in that type of capacity.
we talked about Watson before, and I think this last game he showed his versatility. He looked great. He had what 5 receptions, 100 yards. Off of a 63-yard bomb there for him. And he's just a good runner. We know Memphis knows how to produce those running backs, and he's looking great. Austin Genty. Shout out one of our Dynasty Pros guys, John McLean. He's actually the one that put me on Austin Genty when I was looking at Helene. He was on, watch out for him. He's the better running back, and I don't think he's disappointed at once he said that. He's been on my radar ever since, and he's looked good ever since. So it's pretty nice to see.
That Boise and Fresno game could be a really good game with running backs on both sides because Fresno has a good running back too, and Malik Sherrod. He was hurt to begin the season, but once he found his way back and got healthy, he's been showing out too. So that will be the other name for that Boise game that people should watch for because he's a really good runner too.
Yeah, Boise also has a sophomore wide receiver there too that I kind of want to give a shout out to. Eric McAllister. Am I
Yeah.
getting that right? Um, he's been the go-to guy there for their kind of dual quarterback situation that they've got going on. He's a guy that kind of look uh, forward to if you're in a C2C league and you're looking at kind of making late season pickups. Um, he's a guy that I would definitely have interest in.
Yeah, it's really interesting because usually when you have those dual quarterbacks, those receivers really suffer because those quarterbacks, how they throw the ball, how it gets released is different, and the receivers, how they track it are different. But for him, it doesn't matter who it is; he just gets it, and
Hmm.
that's a really good trait to have for a receiver.
Yep. Yep. All right, our last running back that we have on our list for tonight had a really big season. Um, Ray Davis for Kentucky. Um, I'm still not 100% sure what his NFL profile looks like. He's a decent pass catcher, decent speed, decent vision. He's kind of like good at everything, but not great at any one thing. And that kind of in the I don't know if that really plays up to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, this will be a great match for him. I talked about arguably the two best linebackers, duo linebackers, and the Clemson guys. But I mean, these guys at Mississippi State, Jet Johnson and Daniel Watson, those guys are monsters. To me, that's the best linebacker duo right now. When you talk about Jet Johnson, he knows how to get through the center. He knows how to attack the quarterback, bring that pressure. And Daniel Watson is awesome on the outside as well. So I mean, they're just gonna clog him up. If he goes out there and has himself a game, all right, let's start talking about him. But I mean, I think that Mississippi State defense is just gonna run all over him and dominate him this game.
He's kind of like Chris Rodriguez from last year. They're kind of like the same. They're just they're decent at pretty much everything, but they don't have a trait that you look at and say that's going to work. So at the next level, I could see him be like a sixth, seventh round guy, possibly fighting for a roster spot for the next level. But I don't know. He's another guy. I gotta see more. I don't really know.
Well, he didn't look all that great in that Tennessee game this past weekend. He was bottled up pretty good. Um, didn't really break off any big runs. Didn't look explosive. He would get to the line and he would just get hit and get piled up on. And now I that may have been the fact that Tennessee was kind of keying in on him too, to where Devin Leary kind of had a big game, but I wasn't impressed with what I saw from Raymond Davis on Saturday. Well, guys, that's probably going to do it for tonight's show. Guys, go ahead and tell us where we're able to find you and what it is you're working on, and if there's anything coming out soon from you.
Yeah, so Esther Romero at the PPR show on X, doing this with every Tuesday and Thursday with y'all recap and review. Every Tuesday, starting to drop the IDDP, the individual defensive Devy player article for Dynasty Pros. Do some running with league winners, just some Devy articles here and there. Offensive side, my article on RPO every Thursday for start sit on the NFL side. And then just recently, I got accepted to join the Creators Network, the High Point Creators Network, to be covering the Los Angeles Rams for them over there at Personal Corner. So that's exciting, and just be looking forward to some of that content coming here soon.
Yeah, congratulations on that. I meant to tell you that the other day.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's exciting.
You can find me at Andy_Fam1, dropping 3 articles a week. Player profile on Thursday. Fridays, we preview Devy and C2C games to watch. And then Monday, we recap with Devy stock up, stock down, and C2C names to watch for your waiver wire. And then in the off season, have something coming up in the works that we will talk about later on. But stay tuned. We got some more stuff for you here at Dynasty Pros.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to that. Like you said, kind of ironing some things out there. That's going to do it for tonight's show. I hope you all enjoy the weekend slate, and we will see everybody back on Tuesday. Thanks, guys.